an interesting situation. We do have a Canadian wrestler in it, Eamonn Dorgan from Ontario, but he's wrestling out of Northern Ireland, I believe.
And he's a two-time Greco national champion, and he's from Cabbagetown also, and trains full-time just strictly Greco-Roman.
He's wrestling Sanjay of India, and this is our 10th Canadian wrestler in these finals this evening. Sanjay of India has impressed me as with his fitness and obvious superior muscular strength. He appears to be right down to his fighting weight and extremely strong and stable. But on the other hand, Dorgan has also impressed during the tournament. I was surprised by his ability.
Well, he's a little deceiving because you don't expect... I haven't seen too much of him because I guess he strictly trains Greco, and he's done quite well, and it's obvious he knows what he's doing.
Well, it was a clear choice. He probably didn't see himself as making the kind of progress in freestyle wrestling and getting on the international scene as he could in Greco if he specialized. It's not a big avenue for a lot of Canadian wrestlers. More are doing it, and it's clearly something that Dorgan decided to do. He's now taking the opposition. 0-0 the score. We've approached the 1 minute mark in the first round, and we're now in the parterre wrestling position. We use the French terminology. And Dorgan has what he needs to make the throw, but the defensive body position of the Indian was outstanding there. He knew exactly which way to turn. It's subtle, but he wasn't going to be thrown on that. He turned his body just at the right time and just the right way.
And he blocked a little bit with his leg, but he didn't get caught.
He got away with it, and that's what part of Greco-Roman wrestling is, how to use all of your body without being penalized. Now, Blue did step out of bounds, and Red did get a point, which was very critical because he only had 2 seconds remaining in her 30-second portion of the match to do that. Had they not stepped out of bounds there, then it would have been 1-0 Blue. And that's an extraordinary turn of events right there at the edge of the mat. So Dorgan has 1 point lead in the first round. And now the obligation falls on Sanjay of India. He must score here in order to win the first round. But if he does, even if he scored 1 point, Mark, he would win the match because he had scored win the round because he would have scored the last point. He's going to be looking for 2 here on a gut wrench, though. Let's see what kind of defense Eamonn Dorgan has on the bottom, and it looks good to this point, but Sanjay is picking him up. Is he going to score? No. Back down to the stomach position, and he didn't score, and that 1 point resulting from that stepping out of bounds there, which seemed a little bit innocent at the time, really turned the match in Dorgan's favor. So he's got a 1-round lead. Again, a bit surprising. See Chris Kellum in his corner over there giving a little bit of advice. There's no shortage of advice in the Indian corner. The ranks here are rallying. They really don't want him to lose to a Canadian, especially a Canadian who's wrestling under the Northern Ireland flag. I don't think that would go over well with the Indian wrestlers. I think India is a country which is extremely proud of its athletes and proud of its wrestling, and wrestling goes back centuries there, not just decades, but deep into their culture. It's probably one of the strongest sports. Several of their wrestlers have been recognized as the most outstanding athletes in the country, an award which would be similar to our Lou Marsh Award. So it's an extremely important athletic event in India. And winning is extremely important to them. So you see what Sanjay can bring to Dorgan in the second round. When they were in the standing position in the first minute of the first round, there were no points scored. Dorgan did score in his portion of the parterre wrestling, but only when they came to their feet. And he's close to stepping out of bounds now, and he definitely went out of bounds first. His knee touched out, and Sanjay scores a similar point by the edge of the mat. 1-0. 17 seconds left in the first 1 minute. Dorgan takes a quick look at the clock, thinking how much time he has. He's probably going to attempt some throws. No, he's not. He's in a good position to do it. Again, he's checking the clock, and he's figured, I'm not going to get anything out of that. I'll take the 1-0 deficit. I'll go down. Blue is up. Sanjay did not turn Dorgan in the first round, Mark. I was surprised with that. I thought he was going to. He's trying the body lock again. That doesn't work, so he goes to the gut wrench.
It's pretty predictable. If they don't get that Olympic lift right off the bat, then they go straight. Usually they go right to the gut wrench. They don't have to, but it just seems to be a common theme.
Yes, it does. And even though it is predictable, it still has an element of excitement because the possibility of that body lock throw really is quite interesting.
And it's very rewarding, too, with the 5 points.
Exactly. It could result in the end of the round in one swift motion. Sanjay was not able to turn the red wrestler from Northern Ireland, a Canadian, Eamonn Dorgan, so Eamonn gets 1 point for that. If you like, the Indian wrestler was penalized for not being able to turn his opponent. Now they're arguing over position, but that'll take care of itself. The Indian should be cautioned at this point for moving. He's being told by the official, do not move, and there should be a caution against blue. And there's definitely a caution against blue and a point to red because blue is absolutely falling down on his stomach. He's claiming that Dorgan touched his body with his leg, but I think it was clear that blue was going. What do you think, Mark? Seemed like he was trying to defend early.
Yeah, and he's got to keep his knees on that tape, and that's what the ref's looking at.
Ooh, I'm surprised that Dorgan didn't throw that. He lifted him straight up off the mat, did an outstanding job. He is winning the match, however, 3-1. Does not need to score in this situation. He will be penalized if he doesn't score, but it would be 3-2 in his favor because of that caution he got, because of the fact that the Indian wrestler was penalized for moving too quickly.
Well, he better stay active or he's going to be called up.
And that could be a problem. And the match is over, and Dorgan is reacting as though he wasn't sure he was going to win this match, but it's a very important step for him to take. It's a pleasing thing to see when an athlete is so happy about his victory. Certainly the Indian is not happy about the loss. The champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 74 kilograms, Eamonn Dorgan, Northern Ireland, but also a Canadian wrestler out of Toronto where he trains.